exiting the keyhole turn. The pace cars will pull off. They are both off now. The starter has the field in control, and Joe Huffaker and Doug Peterson will be bringing the field down to the turn. First turn, and the green flag flies. We are underway with the mini challenge. It looks like Peterson maybe with about a car length lead. He's got the inside line coming down into turn number 4. Going to be a little pushing and shoving behind him, though. Looks like Nick Swift is flying up toward the front.
Yeah, he's going to try to get both there for a second. He's going to slot himself up into the second spot with Huffaker leading the way. Minis 4 wide on the straightaway coming off. That 52 machine, Nick Swift with a great start there, went right around the Peterson machine. The 44 car sitting right behind. That's the 44B of Chris Copley, is now right behind the 11 car Peterson, as we see the entire field coming off the back straightaway. Looks like we're going to get through this cleanly, as I didn't see any contact. They're all clean over the top of the hill and down into Thunder Valley, but the 52 car, the one on the move, but Huffaker at the point.
Absolutely. Joe Huffaker in the GT Light Mini, and then Nick Swift in that 52 car right on his heels as they start this first lap. Through the carousel turn they come, and onto the front straightaway to complete the first racing lap. Again, it's a timed race. 15 minutes is the time duration. They've opened up a little gap on Doug Peterson in the yellow number 11 and Joel Hipp in that 44B. Here comes Greg Wold working his way. He didn't get the greatest of starts, but that cream-colored number 88 is going to be another one to watch.
And that number 52 car should not be running where he is, but he is.
Nick Swift really giving that car a great run. The husband of our national anthem singer, Phil Wicks, who's in the number 5 car, is a stunt driver of some repute. He actually has some seat time in the movie Grand Prix. He also had some seat time in the original Italian Job movie with Michael Caine. So he is a British stunt driver, repatriated to the United States. He and his lovely wife live down in South Carolina. But Phil Wicks in the number 5, the Snoopy Mini Cooper S, has done some pretty famous stunt driving throughout his career.
Peterson drops back one more spot as Chris Copley gets by in the 44B, but there's a gap back from that 52 car, only about 5 car lengths behind Huffaker. So Nick Swift really giving that car a great drive right now as we watch the rest of these cars continue on. But Peterson falling back, he's in danger. In fact, he's going to lose another spot. There may be something wrong with that car now. It looks like it's slowed up going over the hill there at 8. And I think he got passed by Michael Pinney right at the top of the hill. So we'll take a look here. But I think the 11 car Peterson has a problem.
The local connection, of course, any of the cars with 44, Joel Hipp, the highest running of them, running in 3rd right now in that 44B. Peter Zeckert in the 44, also an ex-Baumgartner car, as Joe Huffaker now beginning to stretch his legs. Beginning to stretch his legs as expected. That car definitely is the class of this field and should be able to march away. But I can't say enough about Nick Swift in that number 52 car. He is absolutely flying, and as Bert so aptly put it, he has no business being up there amongst those 2-frame minis. He's doing a great job. Greg Wold running in 4th, Chris Copley in 5th, Michael Pinney, another local driver, in the 51 car, running 7th. Peter Zeckert in the Baumgartner number 44 is 8th. Richard Patterson in the 97 is 9th. And Peterson's in the pit lane. Rusty, you were right. There's a problem with that number 11 as he comes down the pit lane, and I think he's going to retire the car. What a shame. Our outside front row qualifier didn't even complete a single lap at speed.
And the race to watch right now is for the M2 class. That's Greg Wold in the white number 88 and the number 51 kind of purplish car of Michael Pinney. They are side by side.
Michael Pinney in the 51 is one of the 2 purple people eaters, the 51 and the 61 minis out of Fort Worth, Texas, that went on a tear in the late 60s and won 4 consecutive national championships in those cars. Pedro Rodriguez actually has some seat time in those 2 cars, so they are quite an accomplishment.
And of course, the original purple people eater was the Corvette out of Nicky Chevrolet in Chicago, driven by Jim Jeffords, who recently passed away, sadly.
Chris Copley moves up into the 4th spot, and that puts the 88 of Greg Wold and the 97 of Richard Patterson nose to tail right now. Those both, an M2 and an M3 car, but Copley now moves up one more spot to put himself up in the possibility of getting up with Joel Hipp to do battle there.
Yeah, Greg Wold and Patterson having a great battle right there as those two M2 cars, 5th and 6th. Then the 51 and the 44 with Peter Zeckert. That 311 car we were talking about last night looks to be a little squatter. That's been chopped and channeled and full of carbon fiber. We were joking last night with Russ Theus. You could go over that car with a magnet and nothing would stick.
And the odd white-looking car toward the back of the field is a Mini Marcos. That was a fiberglass-bodied GT car that was all Mini underneath that Marcos built.
Yeah, they sold them as a kit car, I guess, back in the day, and it went through several iterations, but this is one of the original Marcos bodies, apparently.
And Joe Huffaker already lapping through the field here as we watch. Here comes the 44B machine now closing down on the 52. We'll take a look here as Joel Hipp now brings the car 44B, one of the Baumgartner machines, up close to Nick Swift. It's only a car length apart right now. Also see another change right behind that as Richard Patterson gets around Greg Wold and moves himself back into the 5th spot. So little challenges going on there in the front 5.
Huffaker's last lap was his fastest. It was a 140.9 as he comes to the stripe. My guess is that's going to get even quicker as we saw this car in practice and qualifying this weekend. It took a few laps, I think, to get up to song, and he was clicking off laps in the mid 130s in that car. That just isn't possible.
and Nick Swift in that number 52, he should not be running there.
Yep.
At the prep level his car is at, and he's got front wheel drive.
Yeah, that car is a rocket ship, no question. Joel Hipp running 3rd. Right behind him, Chris Copley in the 03. Richard Patterson getting around Greg Wold for 5th. Wold, of course, in 6th. Michael Pinney, local driver, in 7th. Peter Zeckert, Robert Beauchemin now up into 9th position, and Jeff Tupholm rounding out the top 10 in the 441.
And I didn't catch the car number, but the one that looks like it ran into a paint truck is moving up through the field. I didn't get the car number, but I will next time around.
I believe it's the 311 of Beauchemin, who's up into 9th position right now.
Here comes Huffaker right now. As you're talking about these cars, Huffaker running the 13-inch tires, which the M5 machines can run. That 52 machine has the 10-inch wheels that most of the other minis are running. So that in itself is typically quite an advantage. But that's what makes the drive of Nick Swift so good now. He continues to be closed in on by another M5, the Joel Hipp machine. It's only about a car length when they went out of sight. And here's that car you're talking about, the 311 of Beauchemin. Still driving it hard right now as we see Zeckert trying to make a move there. Can't quite get that pass made. He's going to continue to hound Michael Pinney.
Our leaders well and truly into traffic as we have another car making a call to the pits. That would certainly be unscheduled. The 199 of Larry Kost rolling down the pit lane as Joe Huffaker really beginning to stretch his legs now as he is way out in front of the second place car of Nick Swift. But Joel Hipp, that tube frame mini coming on song now, and it's closing down on Nick Swift, as Rusty said. Chris Copley just set his fastest lap of the race in the silver 03 M5 mini. Richard Patterson and Greg Wold right behind them.
That's your best race right there, 97 and 88. That's a great contest, and that 311 car is pulling up on Pinney.
Not quite able to make the pass happen, but I'm guessing he's going to try it down the straightaway. So watch for the multicolored 311 of Robert Beauchemin to move up one more spot into 7th position.
Huffaker by clean as he continues to work his way through the field. Car looks and sounds strong right now as we see the 52 of Swift was able to put a little distance between himself on this last lap and Joel Hipp. But as you mentioned, John, Chris Copley turning the second fastest laps out here is really closing down. The 03 silver machine with a blue top is closing down on the Joel Hipp, and that'll be a good battle. Those two drivers still race in SCCA, the GT Light class, and we've seen them here a number of times. They both know the track really well, and the cars are very close to each other as far as their performance.
Another retirement for the number 27 of Jim Arnett as he rolls it back into the paddock area.
Boy, and Joe Huffaker is just so smooth.
Yeah, he is I think a 6-time national champion. Certainly has enjoyed a lot of success. His dad, Joe Sr., also a very accomplished club racer. And here's the battle for third as Copley is all over Joel Hipp. They're side by side down into turn number 1. Copley is going to take the position, so new third place runner, Chris Copley, up into third. Joel Hipp in the 44B right behind him.
And 97 has pulled out about a 6-car length lead on number 88, Greg Wold, for first in their class.
Michael Pinney still has just lost that position to Robert Beauchemin, so the multicolored number 311 chopped and channeled Mini up to 7th position. Pinney back to 8th in one of the Purple People Eaters. Peter Zeckert hanging on in the Baumgartner number 44 in 9th. Jeff Tupholm rounding out the top 10 in the 441. Huffaker sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:40.263 on that last lap, as we are about 10 minutes into the 15-minute race, about 5 minutes remaining.
Chris Copley stretches it out just a little bit. He's got about 3, maybe 4 car lengths now on that machine of Joel Hipp as he comes by. Now he sets his sights on that 52 at Nick Swift. He's got about 5 car lengths to catch up as they make their way out of my sight, and he's going to try to move his way into the second spot.
Another retirement, and it was one of the quicker minis here this weekend. Will Thomas in the number 191, who was very fast in practice and qualifying yesterday, having a problem here, and he has had to retire the car. He's pulling back into the paddock.
Yeah, minis have never made good endurance cars. Never. They made great rally cars, but you tune them up real tight, and they don't last very long.
Copley is the guy on the move, and he's chasing down Nick Swift in that 52 car. One of the disadvantages that we talked about of running the original 10-inch wheels, of course, is that limits the size of brakes that you could put in the car. Obviously, the wheel diameter is directly proportional to the brake size, and so Nick Swift's car might be running out of brakes after starting really strong. Greg Wold is not giving up the ghost by any means. That cream-colored number 88 in 6th is closed back down on Richard Patterson in the Robin's Egg Blue number 97. So that's the battle for 5th position. So a good challenge going on for 2nd and 3rd, and another for 5th and 6th.
Yeah, 311 and 51 are just right together. And Rusty, I bet it's fun to watch from where you are.
Yeah, that's a great battle here, and of course most of the crowd here in Mid-Ohio is watching right along with me as we are watching that battle. Nick Swift gets around a little bit of lap traffic, but he had to check up a bit, and that allows that Copley machine to get right there. He's about 3 car lengths back. The 44B gets hung out there as he's trying to make it 3 wide down into 6, and no, very close as one of the drivers had to take evasive maneuver there and they were 3 wide going through turn 6. But they all got through it cleanly. But we'll have to watch now. Copley about 2 car lengths back, and Nick Swift as they went out of my sight.
And remember, Swift is leading his class. But when there's somebody next to you, you want to race with them.
Swift in the M3 Mini. Next in that order would be Richard Patterson in the 97. Greg Wold leading the M2 over Michael Pinney in the 51. The M5 Minis are the ones at the front with Joe Huffaker and Chris Copley running 1st and 3rd with Joel Hipp in 4th.
Peter Zeckert gets around Michael Pinney into the 8th spot and puts a little bit of lap traffic between himself and that 8th, and he looked like he was closing down on 7th, the 311 of Robert Beauchemin.
Patterson stretching it out over Wold just a little bit more. It looked like Wold was going to run him down, but now it's back out to about 5 car lengths. Of course, in mini lengths, that's not very many.
No. And to me, that's the real battle, because those are traditional minis.
The 311 has really got some legs now as Beauchemin closing up on Peter Zeckert to try to take over that 7th position. Zeckert just turned his fastest lap, a 1:44.027. Beauchemin not able to match it, a 45.6 for him. That 424 golf liveried mini of Terry Milnes also in a great race with Dennis Racine right in front of him in the 177 and Terry Orr in the 33 right behind.
And Dennis and Don Racine, I think it's father and son. Don Racine racing for years on the West Coast in a front-wheel drive Panhard-powered special called the Aardvark. A great racer with tremendous experience.
2nd, 3rd, 4th, they're about a car length apart now. They've all caught each other, and Nick Swift still hanging on to 2nd, but Copley and Joel Hipp right behind. That's a great battle. They were a car length apart as they went out of my sight.
Joe Huffaker, as expected, in pretty much his own zip code, as he is in turn number 1, and we're still waiting on that great second place battle to exit the carousel turn, as they're pretty much in traffic at every turn here. Man, that's a great battle. Nick Swift hanging on, clinging to that second place spot where he's got no business being, with two Prey Minis chasing him down, Chris Copley and Joel Hipp. Let's see if Nick Swift can hang on to second spot. That would be the drive of the weekend race. For sure. Yeah, no question.
Although remember that without those wide fender flares and tires, he's going to cut a smaller hole in the air. If he's got equal power, he may have a little bit of a top end advantage.
And he's
Zeckert also closing in. That was about 2 car lengths on Beauchemin, so he's looking to move himself into 7th, already turning some fast laps.
Yeah, Beauchemin just passed him for that 7th spot, so Zeckert falling back just a little bit. Beauchemin in the multicolored 311 is the guy on the move. We should see the 1 lap to go sign this time by.
Nose to tail, that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right together. There goes Cope. Oh, he tries a move at the bottom. 44 tried to get there, couldn't make it stick. Joel Hipp tried that move and lost a couple of car lengths as he would have made contact with Copley, so he backs out of it. Nick Swift, that gives him a little bit of an advantage, but very close racing.
Here comes our leader to see the 1 lap to go board. So Joe Huffaker, as expected, well out in front. But that battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is far from done, and they've got 1 lap to do it. Copley all over the back of Nick Swift as they come into the carousel turn. Swift holding his own in that 2nd spot in that M3 Mini. Onto the front straight they come. Copley ducking and weaving, trying to find a way around. And right there to pick up the pieces should either of them stumble is Joel Hipp. They're on the final lap coming into turn 1.
And Copley actually made a mistake there by pulling out of line before he actually slowed his exit speed out of the last corner, allowed Nick Swift to pull out about a car length additional.
Huffaker just set his fastest lap of the race on the penultimate lap, a 1:39.9. The first driver under a minute 40. Our leader, Joe Huffaker.
And that is booking in a Mini.
Oh, buddy.
Huffaker passing a car right at the top end of the straightaway as he is on his way to the checkered flag coming by us now. But we're waiting on that great battle coming through. It looked like Hipp may have lost a little bit of ground when he attempted that pass last lap, but we'll take a look now as they're popping into view. It's still 52. In fact, they're stretched out a little bit, but a lot of lap traffic in front. Nick Swift is still sitting there, then the 03 of Copley, then that 44 car of Joel Hipp in that order, but lots of traffic right in front of Swift. He's got to check up at 6. It's going to get, he goes 3 wide up over the hill down to Thunder Valley. Very close racing, just about to clip that Marcos Mini as he was moving by. Checkered flag should be coming out.
And tough break for the 44 of Peter Zeckert. Came up 1 lap short of making it to the end. He rolled down the pit lane on the next to the last lap. Talking to Russ Theus right now. Not going to be able to get the finish. Joe Huffaker's already taken the checkered flag. We're waiting for the battle for 2nd. They're side by side in the carousel. Copley's going for it on the last lap. Here they come to the flag. Swift's going to hold him off. What a drive for Nick Swift. He'll take 2nd place honors. Chris Copley, a well-fought 3rd place finish. 4th will go to Joel Hipp in the 44B. Richard Patterson and Greg Wold dueling for 5th and 6th will be next across the stripe. Here comes Patterson.
And Greg Wold is caught behind a slower car. Nothing he can do. Patterson is going to win the traditional Mini class in the blue number 97 with Wold 2nd. What a race.
Robert Beauchemin in that multicolored number 311 should be next in the order as we're waiting for him to come off the carousel turn. Again, lots of traffic in between as a number of cars already a lap down. As actually, here comes Pinney in the 51.
And Beauchemin's missing.
Beauchemin went off track here on the back straight on that last lap and rejoined, but I'm not sure where he's going to finish.
Yeah, Pinney will take the 7th place honors. Jeff Tupolm in the 441 will finish in 8th. Beauchemin comes across the line in 9th, and then Terry Orr Beauchemin in 10th. Dirk Bolger got around him as well in the 35A. Beauchemin in 10th. Terry Orr will finish in 11th. Terry Milnes in the Golf liveried 424 finishing 12th. Dennis Racine in the 177. Then Andrew Nelson in the 68. Phil Wicks, the British stunt driver, husband of our national anthem singer, finishes 15th. Robert Hoemke in the number 61A, another of the Purple People Eaters, in 16th. Mark Petz will finish in 17th position in the 50 car. Steve Phillips in the 37A, 18th. Donald Racine finish in the 61, and Dave Morgan in the 19. Rusty?
What do you think about that, S's? What a great job. Everybody's up on their feet here, especially they all waved at Huffaker, but they were all on their feet for Nick Swift. And what a great drive for that 52. But the S's, everybody on their feet, waving at these guys. A great race here for this mini anniversary challenge race. They put on a great one for us here right down to the last lap. So great job for everybody, and thanks to everybody here in the S's for saluting these drivers on a great drive.